What's up, YouTube? We are going to go over the top three picks I've chosen for this week. These picks have been analyzed and valued in previous videos and figure out if these companies are worth trading and if they're worth holding or buying for long-term holds or swing trading or whatever the case may be. Current economic activity for the week in terms of news is at least for this week, nothing to be concerned about or looking forward to or anything like that. However, next week we have CPI, core CPI, and core PPI next year, or sorry, next week. And those two, I'm sure, are going to cause some havoc, some short-term havoc in the markets, I would imagine. So that could mean this week, because it's already a beginning, a little bit of a holiday week, it could be a pretty quiet week in terms of trading and price action. First, we'll go over the top three picks of last week, starting with ENPH. So ENPH over the course of the last 5 days, that was up 2.42%. Analyst price target 220 to call it $230 per share. My personal price target on ENPH is $328 per share with a 30% margin safety of $230 per share. Next on the list after ENPH was SMCI Super Microcomputer. Price target for analysts are $334 per share. My personal price target was 275 with a 30% margin safety of $192 per share. And third on the list was TMF. TMF is, as you can see right here, is the 20. It follows a 20-year Treasury, and when the yields go down, this ETF goes up, and when the yields go up, this ETF goes down. So I'm anticipating real soon. This is my opinion, but I think interest rates early next year are going to start ticking lower, and I think we might start getting some signs of that in the near future. Hopefully, if not this meeting in September from the Fed, possibly in November, where they might hint towards future rate cuts. I think once that happens, these bond yields are just going to tumble, and then this ETF will obviously increase in value. But over the course of 5 days on this one, down 1.94%. So my top three picks for this week, starting with Airbnb here. We have a price target for analysts of $143 per share. My personal is $152 per share, 30% margin safety at $107 per share. Next on the list, Alibaba, ticker BABA. Price target for analysts is $143 per share. My price target is $210 per share, 30% margin safety of $147 per share. And finally, last but not least, ticker TSM, Taiwan Semiconductors. Price target for analysts is $113 per share. My price target is $127 per share. 30% margin of safety of $89 per share. So now we'll come over to the stock chart real quick and take a peek at all of these. So we'll start with ENPH. We can see here ENPH has been in this, I would consider it's technically an uptrend because this 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 was a higher low and that's a higher low, and but overall we are in a shorter term downtrend here. Um, and I think we bounce off this, we retrace back up to like 145-ish dollars per share, and potentially get reject again, come back down to here, and then maybe resume higher, or we break below this and continue lower. But in the shorter term, what I'm looking for is a move up to about this trend line again, probably take some profits off, wait for this maybe to pull back. If it does pull back, I'll add to my position and hope that it bounces higher. And if it doesn't, then I take my stop loss, and that's what happens. Next on the list was SMCI, Super Microcomputer. So this is a bit of an NVIDIA play. It follows NVIDIA's price action. It's got some components that are correlated to NVIDIA in terms of it's got like server racks and stuff like that. Um, so I'm looking in terms of price action here. I think this thing continues higher, especially if Nvidia continues higher. But as soon as this thing breaks this trend line, I think I'm gonna exit my position on this one. This one for me is more of a short-term hold. Like if it wants to break this trend, I'm out because there's not much of a trend here to be had. Because if it breaks this trend, I think it's coming back down to 215. I don't want to hold through $70 of price action. I'd rather just take 10, $15 loss and move on. Number three, TMF. Again, this one for me, I am holding. I think I think I bought around 596, maybe 586, somewhere in that range. And I am gonna continue holding this. I think this just really has nothing but upside in it because this is the ETF that follows the bond yields here. And I don't ever, I don't see this going to zero anytime soon. So I think this is just a matter of time before this thing starts creeping higher. All right, so now my top three picks for this week is gonna be Airbnb. It pulled back to this channel, sort of. It's close to this trend line anyway, but I think, it's making higher lows again, and it's at the bottom, and I think this thing continues higher into next week and potentially a couple more weeks after that. So I like Airbnb. Technically, it's setting up nice, and it's a good value. In terms of valuation, it's at a good price. Number two, Alibaba. Kind of same thing. We're at the bottom of this range here. We're sitting down here. I'm thinking that Alibaba eventually here. I mean, eventually China's got to get things figured out, and I think Alibaba, if you look at their balance sheet and their overall just financials, it's very good. And I think Alibaba is super underpriced for what it is. It obviously has the China headwind that just kind of brings his stock down, and it'll probably never be, well, I shouldn't say never, but it probably won't ever be, have a get a premium attached to it. I think it's always going to just trade at a lower premium than an Apple or something like that. So anyway, Alibaba, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for an entry here and potentially ride it back up to like 110, 115 range here and potentially reach up to 130. And TSM, kind of somewhat similar to BABA here. It's got that Taiwan headwind to it where China wants to take over Taiwan. However, I think in the meantime, I think China's got bigger fish to fry. They got their economy to worry about. I don't think their economy can handle a war against Taiwan. So I think in the meantime, Taiwan should be okay and TSM should be fine to, you know, at least take that off the table and put that in the back of their mind for now. But same thing here, setting up at the bottom of this channel. I think this thing has the potential to run back up. The only thing I don't like about this is the two topping tails on the two weekly candlesticks here. So this thing could just roll back over and come back down, or we push higher. So that concludes my top three picks. Again, we went over the last week three picks and this week's three picks, and all six, in my opinion, are setting up nicely. I think if we have a decent week, we should see some good price action in most of those picks. Again, all these picks have been analyzed except for TMF. TMF is an ETF, so that has not been analyzed, but all the other five have been analyzed in previous videos. If you want to go to my channel and you can check them out. But that's it for this video. I will be back tomorrow with another stock analysis